Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Before you get it, baby, show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you mine. I'll show you mine. Boy, I'm standing right here holding up a sign, shamelessly displaying my state of mind. You walk right past me, pretending like you don't see what's yours for the taking tonight. Ooh, show me your soul, baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Can't you see it's way past time? How expensive do I have to be? I mean, I spell it out before you get it, baby. Show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you mine.
Love me some theme song. Well, I do. Good morning. You can tell what kind of mood I'm in, right? That's right. I'm in a great mood. Not a good mood. I'm in a great mood because today the promise is being fulfilled as we speak. That where two or more of us got our minds right, coming together, wonderful things happen. Can I get an amen? Yes, 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 yes. I'm telling you what, there is nothing better than getting up every day and knowing that it is available for each and every one of us to take bold to bolder, great to greater, strong to stronger, nice to nicer, and kind to kinder. Now, how did all those things change and evolve? We just added one little E and one little R. Because when you get up and you say today is going to be my best day ever, all you have to do now to write that story and make it a reality is find one E and one R. Everything you already are, scoot it over next to that E and the R and take it up another level. Can I get an amen? That's right. You know, so we don't have to write our stories using all 26 letters of the alphabet. We've done that along our journey. Now let's just keep lifting it higher and higher, right? So welcome to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. I, of course, am your host, Lauren Michaels Harris, and today's a beautiful day, the 20th day of the 10th month, October. So getting ready for Halloween, not doing too much, although I am sitting in the midst of Halloween Central. I'm not kidding you. I'll have to do a little post and show you guys. There's probably 100 and some things around this house. And I run into them in the middle of the night and they scare the bejesus out of me. But anyway, I got a husband that likes to dress the house up. So good, as long as I don't have to do it. Christmas is the one very competitive in this neighborhood. I'm already trying to figure out what I'm going to throw up on the roof this year without falling off. I'll tell you about that later. Welcome to today's show. It's a great day in the neighborhood. Things are shaping up nicely here in the Chicagoland area. The sun is shining inside and out. How are things in your neck of the woods? A little news thing I saw this morning. I guess it was recent, like a half hour ago it was released. Did you know this? Listen to this. In New York City, they have just created a mandate for vaccines for all city workers. I don't know how I feel about that. It's back to that whole Roe versus Wade thing, in my opinion. I think people need, I don't know. Where do you guys sit with this one? But the thing is, they're saying that according to the mayor of New York City, they're going to require that all city workers be vaccinated by the end of the month or lose their paychecks. Now, this new mandate is going to apply to more than 160,000 workers, including the police officers, firefighters, as well as the sanitation workers. So starting on November 1st, city workers must have received at least one dose of a coronavirus vaccine, and they can no longer submit to regular testing as an alternative. Keep an eye on that one, and that'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. Now, another thing you may have noticed, I know we did it early this morning. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Guess what? April 28th, the Power of We Symposium is back. We're in Chicago again at the Stan Mansion, bringing in hundreds of kids from all over the city to pour into them, love up on them, and show them that the seats that they sit in today, all of us sat in back in the day, and that they can do and be anything they choose. So if you'd like to be a part of the Power of We Symposium, we made history the first time in 2018. We did it again in Atlanta in 2019 and received an award from the United Nations for what we did down there. MTV was in the house and helped make that a reality. So I am so excited. Tickets go on sale November 1st. I'll let you know all about that. They'll be on Eventbrite, but here's a little something, a little peek into what you can expect. Got me something going on with theme songs today. And you know what's interesting about that? The kids in my family, all the nieces and nephews, when we have little reunions or they come to the house, they call me Uncle Carlton when I begin dancing. What's up with that? I don't know what they're talking about. I know I can jam. For real. I can't do those choreographed dances. I hate that at our family reunion when all of them get out there in those lines and they're dipping and turning. They won't even let me come close to the floor, because I never go in the right direction and I always step on somebody's feet. I don't know what that is. Is that why they call me Uncle Carlton? Oh, well. So help me welcome to the show. As always, this is my sidekick. This is my version of Ed McMahon. It's Lucy McGillicuddy Ricardo. And I just saw yesterday that Nicole Kidman is playing Lucille Ball in a new movie about the first week of I Love Lucy recording. Should be interesting. She looks just like her. I know, right? How do they do that? But anyway, welcome, Lucy, to the show. That's the bell of purpose. You keep hearing me ring. It's not a clever prop, a show gimmick. What it is a reminder. Just like a bell has a ring to it, well, so does the truth. And every time you hear me ring that bell, it's to remind you to lean in, tune in, and back your car up. Take some of this ooey chewy goodness center of this Tootsie Pop with you. Take the truth with you. Lead it through every door of opportunity. When you let the truth go first, guess what happens? What is greater than you stands before you, walks beside you, covers the rear behind you. Because, child, let me tell you, there's always going to be something you will not see coming. Best believe. So there's that. Guess who we have here today? He's back. You might remember him from a couple years ago. Emmy award-winning news anchor from the Chicagoland area, Rob Johnson. Just in case you weren't here, and we'll talk about that privately soon. Like, where were you? I'm kidding. I want to introduce you to my good friend and just one of the best people in the city of Chicago, Rob Johnson. And we're going to talk to him today about how do you get to the point where you walk away from a stellar career when you're at the top of your game, you still look like a movie star, you still have a beautiful family and a wife who looks like a movie star, and again, you have Emmys, and you say, you know what, I've had enough of this. How did he break the news? Well, here you go. Take a look.
Hello, everyone. It's Rob. I want to thank everybody for their incredible support over my 21-year Chicago television career. It's a journey that's been wonderful, but it's also a journey that's led me down a different path now. And I wanted you to hear it straight from me.
Tell it.
You know that in the spring, I started Rob Johnson Communications. I've been helping clients with issues related to media training, executive coaching, crisis management, marketing and branding, image building, social media campaigns. It's been exciting and exhilarating work, and it's been keeping me busy. Now, in addition to my own communications firm, I started with a company called Tech CXO. Tech CXO provides C-suite level executives on a part-time, interim, or project basis. And I am a partner in the CMO or the marketing practice as a communications specialist. It's been incredible to work with some really great business minds, and I'm excited to see that work continue. Basically, this was an opportunity to combine my years as a communicator and a charitable board member and apply that to the communications consulting world. And speaking of charitable work, you know that's going to continue, but other opportunities have presented themselves, like corporate speaking. I'm partnering with some people on a potential podcast, and I even got to do some voiceover work for an upcoming motion picture that's going to be released later this month.
What?
This was really an opportunity for Stacy, Jane, and me to stay in Chicago and for me to spend more time with them. So I want to let you know I'm open for business.
Okay.
If you're in Chicago, I'll see you around. And again, my family thanks you for your years of unwavering support. Take care.
He makes that look so easy, don't he? We're going to find out where he learned that. So anyway, Rob Johnson, he's back, you guys. So you know what we do here in Bathrobe Moments. We put our hearts on the screen, so ding, 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 and we put our hearts into the conversation. That's the only way it can be illuminated. We need your light bulb. Screw it into our socket. And together, let's change some things. Guess what? Here he comes. Emmy Award-winning news anchor, Rob Johnson. Wait a minute. I think I need to go back to hair and makeup before I let him in here. He's going to upstage me.
What a countdown. Wow. Was I deserving of that? You know what I love about one of the many things I love about what you do, aside from the fact that you're full of positivity and you're just trying to build people up and you're out there. I love it that I can show up on bathrobe. I don't have a bathrobe, but I've got my sweatshirt on and my hat.
Yeah.
Because it's just cool and chill. And the other thing I want to tell you too, as you were giving your opening spiel and you were talking about today is going to be the best day ever, I actually have, this was not choreographed, everyone. I actually have a mug that I drink every morning, and in it, it says today is going to be the best day ever. So I drink my tea out of it.
See?
So cheers to you and everyone else who's watching, right?
Yes, and that is confirmation. And you guys, if you have a saying on the mug that you're drinking out of right now or currently is your favorite, drop that in the comment section. I love to see what people
I love it. I love it because it reminds me every morning when I get up that I'm lucky to be here, and it sort of gets me focused, and I go to the little cabinet and take it out, and it's like it's just a good subtle reminder. But I drink my tea out of it every morning.
Do you?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I'm not a name dropper, but I have been dropping your name when I go to like Rotary and stuff around town. It's like, by the way, do you know, right? I do, you, and everybody knows you.
Well, you're very kind, and it's been an interesting journey, and it brought me back when you showed that video when I announced what I was doing, and that was in 19. That was before COVID hit. It's hard to imagine life before COVID, but that was life before COVID, and it's all true. The only thing I don't do now, I realized after a year of working at Tech CXO that the brand I had built was more useful than using theirs, and they were really a CFO centric kind of company. So a lot of marketing people, they weren't getting a lot of jobs for market people that were into marketing and communications.
Mm.
I know a lot of people there to this day, smart people, really enjoy them. But about a year ago, I resigned from there, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going all in with Rob Johnson Communications because I know a lot of people in this area. I've got a lot of good expertise, and I really enjoy doing the work. I really like, as a guy that was in front of the camera all those years, that would get credit for, hey, great newscast, great, election coverage, whatever it was. Being behind the scenes and helping executives and other business leaders be their best communicators, and then watching them succeed and receive accolades and things of that nature is such a kick. I get such a joy out of doing that, out of helping others be better at this whole communication piece.
Amen. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Okay.
But before we get into that, Rob Johnson Communications, talk about how, I still don't know how you did it. You take all those years, you get to the top of your game. Oh, and you're not in the room with the Emmys.
Oh, no, I am. I
Yeah,
am.
well,
I just don't put them behind me. Here's one.
yeah,
I got 7 of them in here, so I don't want to be that guy. Like I didn't
I
want to
just
have.
want to be
So
with
I've got
Steve
pictures
Martin.
behind me, but I didn't want to be the guy that had all his Emmys behind him.
Well, I
But
don't have to worry
they're
about
sitting
being
right in
that
front
guy
of me
'cause
though.
I'm
They're right
ready.
in front of me. I can grab them and show them to you.
I can't wait till I get my first one.
Here's another one. So
Notice I said first one.
first,
Boy,
yeah,
they sure squeeze a lot of dialogue on or
they
content
sure
down
do.
there.
They sure do. Yeah.
How, how,
So
how, how much does that thing weigh?
I bet this weighs, I don't know, 4 or 5 pounds, maybe.
Does it ever seem surreal to you, Rob, when you walk in and boom, all those Emmys are staring you in the face?
Well, I mean, they've been in my office for so long that it's just a reminder. It's sort of like using the tea mug. The today's gonna be the best day ever. It's just a reminder. But I walk in my office every day and I'm reminded, hey, I did some pretty good work. And the funny thing about winning Emmys is I got nominated for dozens over the years, and I mean, I'm proud of all the ones I won. There was probably 5 or 6 that I thought I should have won, and I was like, how did I not win one for that?
And
So
then
in
surprised
typical
that you did
fashion,
something
it's like,
else.
oh, you've won Emmys, that's great, but I'm still, you still think about the ones you should have won. Man, that story was awesome. I should have won one for that one too.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you this. I think it's just an incredible message that you stepped away and that's not an easy thing to do. So many people, I mean, you're used to being identified by people. Hey, isn't that Rob Johnson? Seeing yourself on the billboards as you drive around the
Right.
city and all that, and then you step away and it's kind of like you disappear to the mainstream. Tell us about the mindset you had to embrace in order to step out, because even people who retire find it difficult not getting up doing the same thing they've been doing for 20 or 30 years. So how did you work yourself into that routine?
Well, I don't want this to be a conversation about biting the hand that fed me for so long, because TV was a terrific career, and you never say never. You never say, oh, I'm never going to do that again, because opportunities may
Right.
present themselves, and I may be, who knows, I may be doing it again. I'm not speaking cryptically. I'm just speaking in general. But I saw, for my situation at the time, I saw a job that was not heading in the right direction. I saw what was coming down the pike, and it ends up being, where they don't renew my contract. And I started meeting, and I said, I'm really intrigued by this whole idea of maybe reinventing myself and doing something different. So my former agent, I told him, you can be in charge of finding the good opportunities in TV, and I'm gonna look into consulting or maybe a job in the corporate world, using all this experience that I gleaned over the years and putting it to use. And back in the day, 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago is when I started doing it. I said, you're in charge of this path. I'm in charge of that path. But I told people, I said, if you're a company, you spend all this time trying to figure out ways to put out the fires all day. And I said, guess who started the fires all the time? people like me, the people in my newsroom. I mean, we were the fire starters, and that's not to be rude about it. It's just to say that's
How
what
it is.
happened.
Right.
So I really started, I started meeting with headhunters. I started looking at opportunities for consulting. I already had an LLC set up for other projects that I did. And when the TV thing didn't work out, I was like, gosh, I've got this LLC. I can just, I've already got I've done all the legwork for the business, and now I can formalize some of it and start putting a business plan together and doing that sort of thing. And that's what I did, and started getting a couple of good clients. And I thought, oh my gosh, am I doing this? Am I really doing this? It's like dipping your toe in the
Yeah.
water, but then saying, okay, are you going to dive in, or are you going to, now put your knee in the water? I mean, what are you going to do? And so that's what I did. And there were at the time, no great opportunities in the TV business. And so this is what I did. And I really enjoy doing it. And I love the flexibility. I love the diversity of projects. And the great thing for me is, in any business, and in my point of reference is TV, because that's where I worked. There's not always good people. There's a lot of good people that work in that business, and there's not always good people. But developing the network that I developed outside of it, and meeting people like you, and meeting other people through networking and other business programs and that sort of thing, I realized I like working with good people. I like working with talented people. I like working with good people. And I really enjoy working with people. And I've found a good network of people who are sort of servant leaders. And so they're improving themselves, but they're always asking, what can I do for you? What can I do to help you, Lauren?
Yeah.
Well, how can I be of use? And it may be a contact. It may be an idea. It may be going to lunch now that we can, go to lunch on a limited basis, I suppose.
Yes.
So for me, that's been a great point of personal growth, I guess, and development. And none of this is meant to demean anybody in TV or the business itself, because, like I said, it was a great way to make a living until it wasn't. And like I said too, I never know what's going to happen. So when I say, "Oh, I'm done with that," I mean, I say, this is what I'm focused on, and I've gotten some really great clients, and I really enjoy getting them to be their best communicators, whatever that is. And I've really enjoyed this journey. But the hardest part, and you kind of referenced it earlier, people will say, recognize me, you're the TV guy. I'm like, yeah, I was, and now here's what I'm doing. And I start my spiel about the communications piece. And so sort of reinventing yourself and marketing yourself in a different way, using all those skills, it takes time. There's no question about it.
And it takes a lot of grit and courage too.
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, listen, this is building your business, and then COVID hits. That's not any way. Nobody draws it up that way. Of course, nobody knew COVID was going to hit, and there are a lot of people that suffered far worse, than I did. So there's no poor me here, but that's hard, and nobody said it was going to be easy, and that made it even harder because there was no handbook. There was no, getting through COVID for dummies. You couldn't go on, and get it off of Amazon or whatever. I mean, this was we all had to pivot, and we all had to so I was reinventing myself anyway. And then COVID hits, and it's like, all right, how do I make myself useful to companies and to businesses now? And that was certainly a challenge.
I'm sitting up here laughing at, because in my mind I'm thinking about how I was at the very onset of COVID. How the two dumbest things I did was I saw something on Facebook, some Jamaican people, and they were like, get some citrus. I can't talk like them. I can't do it. Wait, I tell you one thing. Okay, then I can do that. But anyway, they were like, get all the citrus and stuff and put it in a pot and get a towel and boil it and start breathing it in. The heat, the steam's going to kill it. I did that, and then I got up 3 days in a row at 4 o'clock in the morning so I could be the first one in line at the Jewel to get toilet paper. And then I was so afraid they were going to stop me from going out. I got my limit, and then I'd go out and change my clothes in the car and then go back in.
And you needed a team. You needed a team of people. You should have gotten your husband to help you. Instead of you walking back in because they're like, hey, haven't I seen you before? I think I've seen you about 10 minutes ago, sir.
Let me tell you something. That diva, Dr. Brian, does not get up until he absolutely has to. He's a
Even
lady.
for
Please
toilet
don't
paper at the beginning of COVID, he wouldn't even get up for that.
No. And I was like all hunched down in the car in the parking lot, and then watching people come in. You're like, oh, so you're trying to get here, and you see the one lady get out of her car and go stand in line, and it's cold, right? And I'm like, dang her. Now I got to get out and go stand. But anyway, listen, two things I want to mention real quick. Congratulations to your son, state hockey championship. I saw that.
Yeah.
Is he still playing?
Oh yeah. Well, if I can just brag on him for a second, I'm really proud of him. You know, he left home at 15 to go play in Detroit. He plays for the CompuWare hockey team, and so they won the state championship last year. Went to the nationals, and it's a big year for kids that are 15 at the time, because then they're draft eligible. He was drafted by the Green Bay Gamblers in the United States Hockey League in the spring, and you know, it's a junior league that's sort of a college feeder, and it's for 16 to 20-year-olds. And he just turned 16. And so they were like, hey, you know, we love it. He went to their camp. He did great. They like him. They're like, why don't you go back and get a year bigger, stronger, faster, and then we'll revisit this in a year. And so that's what he did. So he went back to CompuWare in Detroit. So he still lives away from home. He's our only child. So our pride and joy, you know, we're empty nesters when he was 15.
Wow.
And then he committed to play Division I hockey at the University of Maine in August. He got a great offer from their coach Ben Barr, and so he accepted that. So he's not going to go there for 2 to 3 years, but he sees his path more clearly now, and I think it's really been helpful. So I'm very proud of him. He works very hard. He's super focused. And we miss him terribly. When people say, how's it going? I said, well, we're proud of him for reaching all of his goals, or to be heading in that direction. Yeah. And to have good things have happened to him, but to not have him around the house is awful. I mean, it just is. So my wife and I, Stacy travel 2 out of 4 weekends to go watch him play in Detroit. We're going to be in Boston next weekend. Wherever he is, if there's, you know, a showcase or a tournament or a couple of games, we're going to go watch him. And so we try to be with him as much as we can, but it's still awful not having him around. So he's going to school in South Lyon, Michigan. He's playing another year at CompuWare. He's doing extra training and working out with various, you know, coaches, trying to get better and trying to take care of all the things that he needs to take care of in terms of, you know, becoming a better hockey player. But he's a great young kid. He's got a great demeanor, and, you know, he's a super student, and we're really proud of him, not just for the hockey, but for just the young man he's becoming.
Well, I can tell you miss him.
Oh, no doubt. I want to make sure that got through. In case that didn't get through.
There. And before we get into Rob Johnson Communications, last thing, I decided this Halloween, and this is for real, I am going to dress up as an Emmy award-winning news anchor. But the only problem is I got the suit and stuff, but I don't have the Emmy to carry around.
Are you looking for an Emmy? Because I can loan you one, but please don't break it.
You would not. I wouldn't let them. No. I don't even know. I might let people hold it and take pictures in the house. Yeah. But that's about it. And with my family, they would take the pictures and then lock it up somewhere. Put it in the trunk.
All right, everybody, leave the room. Leave the room, please. Move on. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here.
I have nephews that would probably try to put a chain on it and wear it. You know what I mean? I'm not kidding. So let's do this. We're gonna go to a quick break for just about a minute, and when we come, it isn't even gonna be that, because what am I gonna do? Am I gonna show? I'm trying to decide. It's not even gonna be a minute. We're going to come back, and I want you to tell everybody about Rob Johnson Communications, and what does it actually mean, and who do you do it with and for? And I know you said something about Chicago, but are you saying nobody outside of Chicago can get some?
Oh, no, I'd go anywhere.
Aha! So there it is. Stay tuned. Get your questions and comments ready. We'll be right back with Emmy Award-winning news anchor and CEO, President, brainchild of Rob Johnson Communications in about 40 seconds. Don't go away. Hello, hello, and hello. I am here because I need to have a little talk with you. My name is Lauren Michaels Harris, and I'm here to personally invite you to come in and experience a 90-minute free preview of my latest work. It is, I don't want to just say it's a program or it's the culmination of my latest work. And I call it P3, Purpose, Patience, and Passion. Have you ever been in the position where you know something through and through 1,000% with no proof? What about this one? When you found yourself at that fork in the road of your journey. And to the left and to the right are two different opportunities, but you can feel some of everything, good, bad, and everything in between. But you stayed stuck. It didn't take either. It belongs to all of us simply because we are. So join me, won't you, for this 90-minute free preview of P3, the Journey series. Just come in and check it out. Come in and be a part of the conversation. Let's heal. Let's learn. Let's go. See you inside. Click the button. Okay, so there's P3, you guys. Go to laurenmichaelsharris.com and register for your free seat coming November 13th at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm so excited and I just can't hide it. Now, before we get Rob Johnson back in here, I want to tell you guys about one of my better choices in life, and that's this, V8. That's right. I love it. Why? Because they pay me. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding, y'all. I love it because, seriously, I was a Diet Coke drinker. I ditched it because it wasn't good for me. It was not serving me. And in order to make room to pick something new up, you have to be able to put something old down. And so I put the Diet Coke down and I picked the V8 up. After doing that, guess what? Every day, 100% vegetable juice, 2 full servings of vegetables, only 60 calories, right? So just pop the top. It's easy, just like that. Delicious. Tastes just like candy. I stole that line from you. And it's easy to find. Head down the juice aisle at your local grocery store and find it. In my grocery store, Jewel down the street on Ogden in Washington. I'm trying to get them as a sponsor too, can you tell? It is right next to the Kool-Aid boxes. So here we go. Rob Johnson is back. Rob, so what does Rob Johnson Communications actually do? You write newsletters. You can construct content for people to do speeches or commercials. What do you do?
So it's wherever the work leads me. I'll give you a little circuitous route here.
Okay, hold on. You clearly you haven't been here in a while. There's a new rule: no words with more than 6 syllables.
Okay.
What was that
it's
word?
It's a very lengthy journey that I'm going to tell you about.
What was that word again?
Circuitous, like a circle.
Circuitous. If you knew that word before he just said it, say I knew in the comments. If you didn't, say no clue. Okay, go ahead. Circuitous.
So anyway, it's because it's all related to communications, and so I think I mentioned to you earlier that I would tell people, people and the people I worked with, we were the fire starters, and everybody's eyes would get real big, like, oh yeah, I get it. And so I started marketing myself to C-suite level executives, senior leaders, CEOs, and it was more than just media training, because as I found out, people say, oh, you were in the media, you should be a a media trainer. But the thing is, every company has 1, 2, maybe 3 people that will ever be allowed to speak to the media. So I didn't feel like that was a terrific route to go, and there's a ton of people doing that. So I really was focused on message training. How do you talk about your company? How do you get buy-in internally with your employees? And then how do you go to the marketplace with your stakeholders, with customers and clients and the public and media and board members to try to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish? So I started focusing on that. And my first big client, which is still my best client to date, they said, we're going to get you for media and message training. And
the White House?
Right when I signed on, what?
The White House?
It was not the White House. It's I have NDA, so I try to keep everybody pretty quiet. But it's a mid-cap financial services firm in Chicago, one of the real great ones. And they were going through a rebrand, and they said, we would love for you to work with the CMO for the next few months. So the first 5 months, I worked with the CMO, the chief marketing officer, and met regularly with the chairman and CEO. At the time, they were two different people, and put together a plan. And then once that plan was executed and approved by the board, I started going sector to sector in their businesses and started doing this message training, this branding training. Here's how we talk about our company in a uniform way. Before you get into the weeds with your own specialty, here's what you need to do. So that was great. And then COVID hits and everybody's working remotely, and it's like, well, what do I need to do to make myself relevant to these to this great client and other potential clients? And I started doing virtual presentation training. So instead of flying to San Francisco, going to a board meeting or a boardroom and making some great presentation with your colleagues, and then going and wining and dining them, spending thousands of dollars a night and flying home, you have to close the deal like this virtually. So how do I break through there? So I started doing virtual presentation training, and that led to doing helping with webinars and other thought leadership. So then the content creation kind of came back, which I really enjoy. And so I've done everything from the projects I just told you to producing shareholder or town hall meetings for various companies, and being the behind the scenes guy, as I mentioned earlier. And it's just been a real joy to do that. And now I'm taking on a new client and helping them with a YouTube channel content creation for what they're doing. Going to produce about 10 or 12 episodes in the next 5 to 6 months. So I'm excited about that. And there's just a litany of different things that are happening that are potential. And people say, what's your industry? And I'm like, well, I don't have an industry, because if you can't communicate your message internally or externally, or if you need help with your content creation, if you're trying to change hearts and minds about who you are and what your company does, storytelling and content creation is what I did for almost 30 years. So I've taken what I did, and now that I have 3 years of experience under my belt actually helping them, I don't have to tell the story about, well, you know what I used to do. Now I can say, here's what I'm doing today.
Here's
So
what I'm
I've
currently
helped all
doing.
kinds of different industries. I mean, education firms and law firms and financial firms and not-for-profits and industrial companies. So, if you have a messaging issue, if you're trying to break through on that, if you're trying to articulate who you are and what you stand for and that sort of thing, that's where we start. And then it's built around a whole bunch of things, including
Yeah.
creating content about yourself.
And I wanted to this is interesting because I just recently, well, not recently, a couple months ago, I got hired by the state of Michigan. It's coming up November 10th. 555 social workers I present to about this very thing. And once I got inside and started building the content out with them about the message, because I knew they wanted more than just water cooler talk.
Right.
They wanted something, or I kind of suggested, I think your people need something that applies not just when they're on the clock from home. Most of them are still working remotely.
Of course.
But even when they turn their system off and they log out, things that are valuable to what they're faced with after they're not working, the family, the community, all of these sorts of things. So, Rob, do you find that a lot of the, because there are a lot of people who are working remotely now, and now more than ever, feel like their voice isn't heard internally, or they feel like they're being left out of the loop by the powers that be. It's not as congruent as it once was when you went into the office every day. So what is this disconnect that's going on in a lot of businesses of all levels, where the front of the end doesn't really know, the front of the horse doesn't know what the back of the horse is doing, or vice versa?
You just nailed the issue, the communications issue that all these companies face, and the really good ones figured it out pretty early. And the point of it is, you're right. You can't walk down the hallway and see the boss. You can't run into him or her at the water cooler or the coffee machine or whatever the case is. And now every time you meet with that person, it has to be because somebody set up a Zoom meeting or whatever your platform is.
Right.
So it's intentional. It just doesn't happen organically. And so I have talked with clients about the value of over communicating, whether it's emails. I like video because I just think it comes alive. And so if you release a 30-second video internally or on your intranet to your employees, they want to, you're right, the disconnect. People worry about their jobs, they worry about their place in the company, they worry about what we're doing, they're worried about, am I, especially the ones that aren't in the C-suite, that aren't making all the decisions,
Mhm.
where do I fit? And so the internal communication piece when you're working remotely has never been more important. And this is what I talked about a year and a half ago or a year ago, and I'll still talk about it, but I hope that the companies out there that have had a workforce that has been remote for a year and a half, have said, we've got a really good plan in place and we are communicating regularly with our employees. And we are also, and I said it a second ago, over communicating, because you don't have that ability to run into them in the office to say hi, how you doing, how's your family, this or that. Everything is much more intentional and formal now. Like, the only reason we're on here together is because you invited me and you gave me a link. I'm not going to run into you in the hallway. And so that's really important. And I hope people understand that. And I think I've also started a podcast, which I know we'll get into in a little bit,
Yeah.
where we're talking about best practices for the C-suite, for CEOs and various leaders. And part of it is that the role of the CEO has changed. You no longer are only about driving shareholder value. That used to be what they'd say. What's your most important job, Mr. and Mrs. CEO? Driving shareholder value. And everybody'd say, oh, congratulations. Now it's making sure your workforce is ready to work, making sure your workforce is in the right frame of mind and they have the proper support and they have mental health, because there's a lot of mental health issues right now with people who are not used to this sort of thing. Are you
Yeah.
providing them the services and the help that they need? The point I'm making is, these are all real things. And as a leader of your company, you must you must care about all those things. And the really good ones actually do care. So that's terrific. They're smart, they know the numbers, they know how
Yeah.
to communicate, and they also have the E gene, the empathy, because you know again, it's no longer to operate just top down. Here, I'm on the mountaintop and here's what we're going to do, and everything rolls downhill.
Well,
Now it's how are my workers doing? Am I providing for their needs? Because no boss wants to have to lose talent and then have to train somebody new, and they also want to be able to recruit the best talent out there. And the parameters for doing that in this COVID world are different than they were 2 years ago.
oh yeah. Now I'm thinking, for you're addressing C-suite and upper level executives, that sort of thing. But I work in the same genre pretty much,
Mhm.
but with solopreneurs, entrepreneurs that have small, mid-sized businesses. And again, that messaging is that's the first thing we have to attack, because a lot of people don't even know how to put their fingers, if you will, on the pulse of their message to see if there's any beat, if there's any, if is it working? Do we have a pulse? And they don't even look at their social media conversations, because that's how I refer to it. I figure if you don't talk back, then why do they need to come there? They can sit in a closet in their own house and have a conversation by themselves. So, it's not enough to just click a heart on something where somebody actually poured something out seeking something in return. So let's talk about the two-way feed, if you will, because in order to effectively speak, sometimes, in my experience, the thing that's missing, the disconnect, is that the person who needs to speak has not learned or developed how to critically listen.
Oh, no question. And I'm sure you do the same thing, Lauren. I mean, every meeting I go into with somebody, it's not, I'm Rob and I'm so smart and here's what you need to do. It's, hi, I'm Rob and how can I help you solve your problem? Tell me what your problem is, and then let's talk about how I'm going to help you solve your problem. And
Yeah.
then meeting two, I may come in there and say, hey, here's some great ideas that I came up with. But the point is, you have to listen. You have to hear what they're saying and you have to process it, and you have to make sure that you're attending to their specific needs. So you might go in thinking you know what they are, but you really don't until they try to articulate it. And
Mhm.
as it relates to articulating it, or as it relates to talking about who you are and what you do, you referenced it just a second ago. You When you start the messaging with who are you, what do you do, who do you do it for, what makes you special, some of those basic things. It's the 15-second elevator speech.
Yeah.
Hey, you get on the elevator, somebody's like, "Hey, what do you do?" You're at a cocktail party. They're like, "Hey, Lauren, what do you do?" And I'll have people practice that, and they think, "Oh gosh, this is like 100 level stuff. This is so lame." And then I'll ask them, "So tell me about yourself." Mm, well, I mean, they can't even get out of the box. So the simplest question. So it's not me not teaching them sort of advanced, techniques or ideas, but you
Mhm.
have to start at the most basic level, the 100 level, the freshman level course, and ask them a
It's
real simple
reverse
question because a
engineering.
lot of people can't answer that question.
That's why, right. And I really do. I use effective reverse engineering to break it
Yeah.
down because I was stuck on that for a long time when people say, well, what do you do? And I said, I got to find out what I wanted to do. What I learned, tell me how you feel about this.
Yeah.
I learned that I'm more successful when I became more successful with the clothes and all of that and attracting the right kinds of people when I learned the difference about the question. A lot of the time, if you don't know the answer to the thing you just asked, the question you just asked, what do you do? Then you can create questions that confuse instead of provocative questions that may, for instance, when I didn't know, people got, well, I don't get it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then when I said simply, they say, Lauren, what do you do? Well, I change lives one syllable at a time.
That's great because when during your open, you do so many different things in the master class, and then you got your thing in April, and I mean it's just unbelievable. But if somebody asked you what you do,
Mhm.
and you started in on a 3-minute speech about all
Mhm.
of that, they'd go, their eyes would glaze over, and that's
It-
something that I learned too. Especially when I was talking about Rob Johnson Communications, and when I was working at the other place, the Tech CXO place, when I said, and I also by that time people are like, huh? And I had to boil it down to
uh-huh.
a basic level. And that's what you're talking about. You
Yeah,
have this whole business built around what you just talked about. And to
right.
be able to just sift through it and to come up with that is really helpful because it gives you better focus.
Exactly. And so, like that thing about the questions, when I say I change lives one syllable at a time, every 100%, they say, well, how do you do that? And I say, through story. Oh, now the light bulb comes on. Now they feel this is something that I could get into and tell me more kind of thing. So, you know, do you work with only C suite or have you had people come to
Oh,
you, approach you from a
I've
smaller
worked
level?
I've worked with startups. I've worked with mid-level managers, people that want to get to the C-suite, and they're like, "What do I need to do?" And so we do a whole thing on like EQ, emotional IQ, and sort of that sort of thing. And so, no, it's not just C-suite. I've worked with all sorts of people. I've worked with entrepreneurs. I've worked with startups. I've worked with mid-level folks and tried to help them be their best. You are where you are, but everybody wants to scale up, whatever that means in their business. May mean I want more revenue. It may mean I want a better job. And whatever your needs are, and as it relates to being a better communicator, and conversely, I think a better employee.
Yeah.
Um, I, that's what I
It's
do.
true. Now, for all of you out there watching, if you need me to break this down into hood language, I will do that right here. Well, it's like this. Remember how your grandmama used to say, a closed mouth don't get hit. Well, watch this. Hey, Rob Johnson, Emmy Award-winning news anchor. What are you doing April 28th? I would love to invite you to do the welcome
Oh, I love it.
at the Power of We Symposium, so you can stand in front of 250 kids who have never even seen a person, most likely, that had an Emmy, let alone a person holding an Emmy, and change their lives forever. Children, again, I say children, and who doesn't love children? So, see
I'm
how I
in,
flip.
man. Listen, when I saw that promo for it, I was like, "Oh, I would love to be part of that and to give back and to help kids." And I'm a very charitable guy, and I really believe that all kids, no matter what your skin color, no matter what your background, no matter who you are, if you are given opportunity in life, you have a chance to succeed. And that's why I've done so much work as it related to for over the years with inner city kids, playing the game of hockey. Like I love that sport so much, but I realized unless everybody can play it,
Yeah.
it's not worth playing. You want
Right.
everybody to have opportunity, and as it
How
relates to
tennis used to
education.
be. It's how
So I
golf used
love
to
I
be.
love getting in front of kids and trying to speak their language. I don't preach to them too much because how kids are, but to get in front of great young minds, I'm in, man. I'd love to do it.
So we're still waiting for the 3-letter word that is somebody hit the record button. Oh right, it's gonna be here. So is that a yes?
That's a yes.
You'll come and do the welcome and maybe even do something else with the kids?
Sure. Yeah, we can talk about it. I'm happy to do the welcome. If you say, hey, there's a little piece of what you do that these kids are going to find relevant in their lives. I don't think going like high level communications is necessarily
No.
the right thing, but I'm sure there's something there that we can kind of brainstorm on, and I'm
I want
happy to
you to
do it.
talk about
I love doing presentations.
that thing that when you were their age and you used to turn on the news and you saw that person, there was something that spoke to you and said, you know
Yeah.
what? I think I want to do that. That's what,
And for as old a guy as I am now, I still remember what it was like to be that age, to be that vulnerable age, and to what am I going to do and how am I going to do it, and that sort of thing. So no, I
Exactly.
love. I mean, if I could come there and play any role in what you're doing, I'm there and I'm happy to do it. So yes, now you can hit the record button and get my confirmation.
Yay. Thank you for that. See you guys.
April 28th.
April 28th at this beautiful Stan Mansion in Logan Square is where we will be, and it's going to be absolutely awesome. I don't know if you noticed, but I think I did say, yeah, we got an award from the United Nations the last time we did this in
awesome.
Atlanta. The GEM Award, GEM, stands for Global Empowerment Movement. And that's because it's the power of we. When we come together, wonderful things always, always, always happen.
I love it. I love it, and I'm happy to do it. And I think it'd be great.
Good. So tell us about the podcast, and then right after you do the podcast, go into the book that I know you're writing.
Oh no, actually, I already wrote the book, and it was years ago. My son, when he was a young kid.
Oh no, this is a new one.
Oh, is there a new one? Am I writing a new one?
Download about you. Yep, and yep, you know what I'm talking about.
I am.
You're gonna write another book.
I'm writing. I don't. Well, if you've got a download about me, then maybe another Rob Johnson, because I'm not currently working on a book. Although I love being an author, no question about it. Let me tell you about the podcast. It is.
Okay.
So I've been looking around for opportunities to work with people and to figure out what would be in my wheelhouse. And one of the women I do a lot of work with, Eileen Rochford, she's the CEO of the Harbinger Group, which is a strategy and marketing group here in Chicago.
Okay.
And so we've done various projects together. And she said we should do something geared toward, the C-suite and for leaders about best communication practices. So it's all communications related, but it's also about some of the really important issues of the day, like the office, return to office, or it might be the future of work, or it might be CEO branding. I had the CEO of Ulta on recently, who coincidentally was a fraternity brother and longtime friend of mine, Dave Kimball, and he came on. He is a rock star on LinkedIn. He's on there. He's giving credit to others. He's going and visiting stores, and he's shining the light on other people. He's really developed a great CEO brand. But of course, he doesn't want to talk about it in those terms because he's like, I'm just doing what I do, which is true.
He's modest.
He's very modest,
Yeah.
and that's why he's killing it with Ulta. They just had their best quarter ever. So we get guests on for sometimes. Sometimes it's just our particular show, and the one that we're releasing today is called The Overwhelm Hangover. You live and work at home. You've got kids around. The kids are back at school a little bit, but your day's filled up with meetings, and you feel like you're drowning. And what do you do to overcome that? So that's today's topic. It's can you hear me? So yeah, it's right there.
Right there on the screen.
Thank you for promoting that. And
Absolutely.
Eileen and I have had a great time doing it. And I think the most encouraging thing has been the metrics that we're getting, the analytics that we're getting on this have really been shooting straight up. And Apple recently gave Eileen some analytics about how we're in the top echelon of their business podcasts now on Apple.
That's awesome.
And we're like, whoa. And so I've really enjoyed it. And because I'm a talker, as you know, and a content creator,
I had no idea.
and and I love doing it because it also is showing me in the light that I want to be seen in. It's also image building for me. It's like, here's what I do. And now I can sit here and do a podcast and talk about the work that I'm doing or the work that Eileen's doing and
Absolutely.
giving good advice. And so it's been really terrific. We've started off really strong out of the gates. We just finished the episode that's airing today. The one I mentioned is episode 10, and we crank out 2 a month. And it's been great fun and a great joy. And we've gotten some terrific feedback from everybody.
Mhm.
And so I encourage you, if you're sitting in the car, if you're going on a trip, doing whatever, take
Yeah.
a listen. Take a listen to one or all of them. And I was actually in a meeting with a guy I'm doing some charitable work with this week, or the end of last week, and he started reciting chapter and verse about, well, episode 4 you did this, and then episode 7 you did this, and he'd listened to like 5 episodes. And for a guy that always had people telling him like, hey, I watched you on TV and it was great, and I'd be like, oh, cool, thanks. Having him be able to retain that information and then
Yeah.
regurgitate it to me, I was like, this is awesome. It was
That
great.
is awesome. And awesome, Sherry McQueen. I know you're out there. Can you please do me a solid and drop this link that's on the screen inside the chat so that at the conclusion, if you want to get over, and I know you do, click over. And so put something in your phone, an alert or something, so you don't miss this podcast airing later today. Now, if LinkedIn is your jam, I want you to look at the bottom screen there, and you can find Rob Johnson Communications there. But also there's this link to Linktree with Rob Johnson, and I think that's it.
So the link tree is all my social channels. It's a
Find
link to the
everything
podcast.
there.
So it's everything. So instead of me like putting down 50 of them, here's Twitter, here's Facebook, here's Instagram, here's, I do the LinkedIn one, but then I put everything else on the link tree there because you can see all of them, and it's just easy, just one click and it's there. So I find that the link tree is so much better than having people write down 60
all
different
the separate,
handles.
all in one place.
Yeah.
It's what made Walmart.
Right.
Right. So listen, again, on the screen, you guys get over and do yourself a favor and take a listen in today to the Can You Hear Me podcast. And there's the information. Thank you, Sherry McQueen, for doing that. And Rob, as we prepare to get out here, we got just a couple minutes left. What's on the horizon? What are your if you could have your druthers in 2022, what mountaintop will we see you standing on top of this time next year?
Well, I hope to be taking this whole content creation thing, and maybe it's partnering with other people and putting together kind of a small agency. I had a great business development day yesterday and talked to a couple of people where there's real opportunity to do some work for executives there.
So you're hiring?
I'm getting ready. Listen, I need you to hire me. Come on, man.
Oh, please.
You're taking over the universe. I hope to be, and people will email from time to time. I hope to be starting that process with hiring. I always hire people on a contract basis to help with various projects when I need them. But it would be great to be able to get somebody in to really help focus on a certain element of the business, whether it's biz dev, whether it's admin, whether it's some of the content creation. I think there's a real opportunity there. So there's a few things cooking, and I've talked to a couple of people about, hey, what if we put together our skills with somebody who has a social media background and somebody who's a real traditional marketer, and offered like a full service agency.
There you go.
Small agency. We're not going to be, like Edelman or anything, but like something small that would tend to your needs, and we'd be there for you, and you'd see us around.
Boutique.
And that sort of thing. A boutique.
Yeah.
A boutique agency. That's all. So who knows? That's perhaps an opportunity. I hope the podcast continues to grow, and we'll see where that goes. We're at the proof of performance right now, where we're just showing here's what we do, and then maybe there's a way to develop that even more in the new year. I know we're thinking about that, but I've really enjoyed that, and I really like it that people are saying, hey, I listened to your podcast, and it's me talking, which I've always done, but it's me talking about different things than you're used to hearing me talk about. I'm used to talking about them because I've been doing it for almost 3 years, but for the general public, they're like, oh, you do that, that. And I'm like, I do that. So.
Well, we're looking forward to all the wonderful things that are yet to come from the Rob Johnson camp. And I'm also looking for the wonderful things that are coming out of your camp. So how does that happen? Easy. Get out today. Be the best version of yourself. Remember, every situation and every person you encounter, all you have to do, it's really easy. It's not hard to find something nice to say about someone or something. Get out there and leave everything you encounter just a little bit better. Leave a little soul DNA, won't you please, wherever you go today, and watch what happens. Hopefully tomorrow morning you'll join me, God willing, 8 a.m. Central, right on the front porch, because we're going to do it all over again. It's another illuminated conversation tomorrow morning right here on Bathrobe Moments. Have a great day.
Thanks, Lauren. Had a great day.
Thank you, Rob. It's a pleasure.
You bet. Awesome, man.
All right,
You're the best.
Thank you. You guys be good and be even better to others.
Thanks for everybody that tuned in.
You're welcome. Thank you.